Do you feel it? Something's coming.
"2019 in video gaming was a..."
Hang on a second. Ryan, do you know what year it is?
Yes, I know what year it is. There's no need to remind me. Now, the video games released in 2019.
I'm sorry, Ryan. How long did it take you to make this video?
Too long! It took me too long, an absurd amount of time. I'm well aware, but I'm releasing it now, so...
Oh aye, I can imagine your daft gleek grin, pushing out a best of 2019 video in the second half of 20...
Alright,
Alright, you mad Jake.
Look, I'm sorry. The fact that it took me over a year, all of the year 2020 and then some, to finish making this video and finally get it released, it's undeniably ridiculous. And I'm sorry. But you know what? If the YouTuber Shammy can release his top 10 video games of 2017 video in 2020 and still get almost 500,000 views, then I can get away with this. A precedent has been set, goddammit. Anyways, let's talk about 2019 in video gaming. In all of my top 10 favorite video games of the year videos, I play this clip from my top 10 favorite games of 2016. And now I'm gonna play that clip again. Last year, around this time, I said 2015 was quite frankly one of the best years for video gaming ever. Little did I know, the following year of 2016 would trump it in almost every way possible. 2016 for me has been the best year ever for video games that I've ever experienced. The amount of stunning and worthy sequels to franchises old and new, the brand new IPs, the amazing innovations, the excellent DLC and expansions. 2016 is the year in video gaming where video games showed off their peak perfection in quality and quantity of content. An absolute joy to experience firsthand. And like last year in 2015, where I said that it was one of the most difficult videos I've ever had to make because there were so many good games that came out that year, this year was no exception. If anything, it was more difficult than ever before. Having to pick only 10 of the amazing, breathtaking, revolutionary, and most importantly, incredibly enjoyable video game experiences that came out in 2016? Hell of a challenge, needless to say. I've played that clip in my last couple top 10 games of the year videos because 2016 was a special year for me in terms of gaming. That year was the most fun I had ever had playing video games. Some of my favorite video games of all time released that year, and I've been waiting for a new year in gaming where I can say this year the video games I played were so much fun and impressed me so much that I now have a new year in this medium of entertainment and art that I can call my favorite. 2019 in video gaming, I can safely say, was one of my favorites, if not my absolute favorite years in video gaming. Filled with worthy sequels, filled to the brim with fan service, and brand new IPs, showcasing innovation, creativity, giving us new worlds to explore and characters to meet. Endless hours of content to experience, whether it be single player, co-op, or player versus player multiplayer. And no shortage of challenging boss battles to overcome, and heartfelt story moments to bring a tear to your eye. Now please, join me for a while. Even though I'm over a year late, it's 2021 now. Please, let me share with you my passion for video gaming and my favorite gaming experiences My favorite titles, the games I just absolutely loved and adored that granted me so many hours of joy. Without any further delay in introduction, these are my top 10 favorite video games that released in the year 2019. Number 10. Dauntless. The free-to-play third-person action game that, while unfortunately will always be in the shadow of Monster Hunter, it still remains nonetheless an excellent alternative and addition to the Monster Hunter genre. Hell, I'd argue it's one of the best free-to-play games out on the market. It's jam-packed with content, has a surprisingly very fair business model, and is cross-play enabled among all the major platforms. I'm not gonna lie, I really like Dauntless. I've put a lot of hours into this game. I like the visuals. They're very pleasant on the eyes, with the very colorful and very charming cartoon aesthetic. The monsters, called behemoths in this game, look awesome, like fantastical beasts you used to create in your imagination as a child. And the weapons and armor that you get to craft after slaying these behemoths, oh my goodness. Some of the most badass looking weapons and armor that I've ever seen in a video game. And when it comes to the gameplay, while it's mostly a straightforward affair of third-person hack-and-slash melee combat, with some third-person shooting mixed in with the repeater pistol's weapon type, the gameplay still here and there has its nuances and depth, with the different weapon types completely changing your playstyle and the pacing of combat, to the personalization and customization of your build, focusing on different damage types and status effects, to the real stars of the show, the behemoths, each one featuring completely different movesets, special attacks, and mechanics. These are some genuinely memorable, fun to fight, and at times challenging boss battles to partake in, which I believe are best showcased in Dauntless's Escalation game mode, which has you battling multiple behemoths round after round, leading up to an exciting and unique final boss behemoth, rewarding you with a plentiful amount of loot, an exciting challenge, and an addicting gameplay loop. Lastly, I really have to showcase, spotlight, shout out the developers of the game, Phoenix Labs, who are non-stop working hard on this game, constantly adding new content every month, genuinely listening to and implementing player feedback, and continuing to just keep expanding Dauntless into something special. Dauntless has truly become one of the best free-to-play video games ever made. So with how Phoenix Labs has been handling Dauntless and with what they plan on adding to it in the future, well, it's safe to say that the future of this game is very, very bright. I really like Dauntless, I really enjoy playing Dauntless, and I look forward to playing even more of it. And that's why Dauntless is one of my top 10 favorite video games of 2019.
The real danger is out there, waiting.
Number 9. The Division 2. The sequel to one of my top 10 favorite video games of 2016. The Division 2 has several changes and additions that, in many ways, not only make it a superior game, a step up from the first Division, a worthy sequel in that regard, but also its own unique game that stands on its own. As a third-person shooter, it has solid and satisfying gunplay, with your movement feeling really weighty and heavy, and guns looking and sounding loud and powerful. Oh, this game is a gun nut's dream if you are a firearm enthusiast. The assortment of pistols, rifles, shotguns, snipers, and heavy weaponry are sure to impress and satisfy. As an RPG, The Division 2 is also great, with an immense amount of customization when it comes to your character, your skills, perks, stats, special abilities, allowing you to create a massive variety of build loadouts and tailor your playstyle. Yeah, sure, the majority of your gameplay will focus around taking cover and shooting bad guys, but will you also be playing as Team Medic, healing yourself and your allies? Maybe take the role of a sniper, sending out a drone that stuns enemies, allowing you to line up the perfect headshot. Or maybe you're all about using explosives and shredding armor. No matter how you choose to tailor your character and playstyle, the combat encounters, the gunfights in The Division 2 are always so dynamic, challenging, engaging, fun, which is in thanks to the masterclass environmental level design and the surprisingly intelligent AI of your enemies. But what I must praise most of all about The Division 2 is how it is as an open-world video game. The Division 2 has one of the most beautiful and immaculately designed and detailed open worlds I have ever had the pleasure of exploring in any video game. It really is one of the best open worlds I have ever played in. Post-apocalyptic Washington, D.C. is begging to be explored, and your exploration is always rewarded, whether it be through awe-inspiring sights and vistas, resources and loot to collect, world-building lore, or perhaps an intense combat encounter right around the corner. The scale, the amount of content, and the meticulous attention to detail of The Division 2 make it an easy recommendation for me for fans of third-person shooters, RPGs, looter shooters, open-world games, games that you can play in co-op with your friends. The Division 2 is a great game, solid game, well-made game, and just like its predecessor before it, another one of my favorite games of the year. Number 8. Mortal Kombat 11. Sequel to one of my favorite video games of 2015, Mortal Kombat 11 is the latest installment in the long-running and iconic fighting game franchise Mortal Kombat. I really like this game series, and 11 certainly delivers and is indeed another worthy addition and sequel to this franchise. It's just as bloody, gory, violent, ridiculous as you come to expect from a Mortal Kombat game, as well as yet another highly cinematic cutscene-driven story mode, a heavily expanded crypt side game mode, and a fucking immense amount of new character customization. The story mode this time around is of the same standard that developer NetherRealm Studios has continued to set. A big budget, high quality, cheesy, goofy, over-the-top, epic sci-fi fantasy movie where for the majority of the time you're basically watching and enjoying the cutscenes while every once in a while beating up some fools when the gameplay rolls around. MK11's story mode is very entertaining, but the actual storytelling itself, the writing, I wouldn't call it objectively good. As a matter of fact, honestly, it's pretty bad in certain portions of the game. Very entertaining, but not really well written. I was afraid this would happen when the story was revealed to be about time travel, and my fears unfortunately came true, but where the story mode absolutely shines is in the cinematography, the character performances, the exciting and awesome fight choreography, and just epic, big-scale battle moments. It's so much fun to watch, and those aspects are genuinely really well done. But this is a fighting game, damn it. We come here for the fighting gameplay and the fighter roster, and those I love. Those are great. Mortal Kombat yet again is able to strike the perfect balance of visual spectacle, satisfying attack impact, easy to learn but hard to master fighter movesets, with so much depth and tactical potential. Each fighter genuinely feels unique to play with and brings something different and new to the table. And what a fantastic roster of characters we have to choose from here. From the classics of Sub-Zero and Scorpion to newcomers like Collector and Centurion. Oh, and of course, I've got to mention the crossover characters. Terminator, Joker, RoboCop, Spawn! Fucking Spawn is finally in Mortal Kombat! And he's so awesome. You know what else is awesome? The all brand new and expanded upon Crypt game mode. It's no longer just a place where you view and unlock collectibles. It's now its own separate third-person adventure puzzle-solving loot collecting game. It's easy to just spend hours in this new Crypt game mode and just explore and solve puzzles, and get lost in this labyrinth of an island fortress. Just a surprisingly fantastic addition. And you know what else is a surprising fantastic addition? The all-new cosmetics and gear loadout system. Mortal Kombat characters already look badass, but now you can play dress up with your favorite Mortal Kombat characters and make them look even more badass. I am a sucker for cosmetics and loot grinding progression systems. What can I say? That's who I am. And this new cosmetic loot progression system really encouraged me to try out all the game modes and challenges that Mortal Kombat 11 has to offer. I really can't emphasize enough that a lot of the cosmetic customization in this game is really freaking cool, which needless to say is aided by the game's beautiful visuals and graphics. What NetherRealm Studios can do with the Unreal Engine is black magic, I swear. Beautifully detailed character models and environments. Mortal Kombat 11 is a solid package, a quality product, a good video game that I really like, I really enjoy, and continues to cement the Mortal Kombat video games as some of my favorite fighting games and another one of my favorite games of the year. Number 7. A Plague Tale: Innocence. Such a beautiful game, telling a beautiful, dramatic, harrowing, but heartwarming story of family, love, and overcoming adversity. Playing as the young girl Amicia, trying to protect and escort her little brother Hugo across a plague-ravaged France. This game's story is truly an emotional roller coaster ride, at times portraying tragedy, horror, death. The next moment, something beautiful, loving, hopeful. I really can't praise A Plague Tale's story enough. The writing, the drama, the character development. This is a true epic chronicle. I was completely invested in Amicia and Hugo's journey. Once I started playing, I couldn't put the game down. I needed to know what happened next. The characters are likable and interesting. The mystery behind the plague and the ravenous rat swarms had me hungry for answers. As a game with its main focus being on telling an emotional narrative, I have to say, it absolutely succeeded in that regard. And as a video game that you play and interact with, it also does a great job in that regard. As a third-person adventure stealth puzzle game with a little bit of action here and there, I found the game to be quite enjoyable. Engaging in stealth, slowly sneaking by and sometimes taking out enemies, was always an intense affair. Puzzles were a nice balance of simple and quick to solve to some real head-scratchers that challenged your problem-solving skills. The real star of the show, though, when it comes to gameplay is the rat swarm mechanic. Swarms of rats acting as extremely lethal enemies and hazards to puzzle pieces that you must manipulate and eventually using them as a weapon. The rat swarms in this game are truly a sight to behold. Hell, this whole game is a sight to behold. The graphics, the visuals are absolutely stunning. Lighting, weather effects, environmental textures, the detailed character models, just all of it. This game is an absolute work of art. Oh, and the way this game uses lighting and color to set the mood, establish a theme, an atmosphere. Oh, it's so good. And what is so admirable and impressive about all of this when it comes to this game, A Plague Tale: Innocence, is that this isn't a AAA game. It's a AA budget indie game made by a very small team of developers who previously only worked on simulators and Disney movie games. Now finally free to make the video game they wanted to make, developer Asobo Studio, when given creative freedom, created a video game that I would consider to be an instant classic, a true work of art, a must-play experience. One of the best games of the year 2019 and one of my favorite games of the year.
Welcome back, kids. Oh, one thing.
Number 6. Gears 5. Sequel to one of my favorite video games of 2016, and I can't emphasize this enough. I loved Gears of War 4 and was very much looking forward to the next installment in this series. And I have to say, Gears 5 did not disappoint. It does everything I wanted in a sequel. Another cinematic, action-packed, set-piece-driven story campaign that continues to flesh out and develop the characters, uncover more mysteries and lore about the world, non-stop variety, level after level, mission after mission, and combat encounter after combat encounter. PvP multiplayer returns with a huge variety of game modes to pick and choose from, all with full bot support. Yes! My absolute favorite, Horde mode, returns, with some welcome additions and changes. Gears 5 also features a brand new PvE co-op game mode, Escape, which has free players fighting their way through player and developer created maps, all in a race against the clock as poisonous gas slowly consumes the whole map. Just like the previous game before it, Gears of War 4, Gears 5 feels like a game that was almost tailor-made for me. Powerful and flashy third-person cover-based shooting? Check. Blood, gore, dismemberment? Check. Melee and weapon execution animations? Check. A sizable bestiary of alien mutants and robots to fight and kill? Check. Story campaign that can also be played in co-op? Check. Multiple and extensive content-rich PvE options that allow you to just battle and kill hordes of enemies? Check, 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 check. And then there's all the new, unique stuff that Gears 5 has to offer. New explorable open world levels in the campaign that surprisingly play very well, are paced very well, add an awesome new sense of scale to the world as a whole, with the very fun new vehicle, the Skiff, to travel these open worlds in. Iconic Gears character, your little robot companion Jack, finally being a playable character in the campaign and horde mode, and providing a unique new gameplay experience. And then there's the escape mode map maker editing tool, allowing for endless amounts of player-generated content. With all that being said, it's almost kind of needless to point out you're absolutely getting your money's worth out of this product. And as a gameplay experience as a third-person shooter, Gears 5 is so much fun. I really enjoy it. With the mix of the powerful and fun weapons to tear enemies apart with, the new special abilities to give yourself a tactical advantage, and all of it being presented with truly jaw-dropping graphics and visuals. The breathtaking amount of quality when it comes to the lighting, the environmental textures, the character models, the special effects. Gears 5 is just a gorgeous looking game. It's as simple as that. There's not much else I can say besides I really enjoyed Gears 5, and it's one of my favorite video games that came out in 2019. Number 5, Devil May Cry 5. It's been over 10 years, over a decade, since the last mainline entry in this series, with Devil May Cry 4 in 2008. I, like many others, assumed that Devil May Cry was over, but lo and behold, here comes Devil May Cry 5, not only making an epic comeback, but bringing us what I would argue to be the best game in the franchise. Devil May Cry 5 has become my favorite mainline Devil May Cry. The quality of this product is staggering. I mean, the visuals and graphics speak for themselves. This game is jaw-droppingly beautiful. The lighting, textures, special effects, just perfection. Oh, and the animations. Oh my god, the animations, particularly the motion capture and the cutscenes. Oh my god, it's immensely impressive. A spectacle to watch. Which is kinda the intent, given this is a spectacle action game. Honestly, I have no qualms about naming Devil May Cry 5 one of the best third-person action video games of all time. Combat is flashy, impactful, satisfying, and filled to the brim with options for unique, stylish, and hard-hitting attack combos. Combat in this game is just so much fun. Another one of those easy to learn but hard to master kind of systems, but oh boy, once you master it, once you master the combat in Devil May Cry 5 with its free unique playable characters, Nero, Dante, and V, it's just so much fun. It's so satisfying. It just looks so cool. It feels so cool. The game, Devil May Cry 5, just overall irradiates cool. The game has so much charm to it. Such over-the-top personality, ranging from your badass weapons, the over-the-top and horrific enemies and bosses, the kick-ass blood-pumping soundtrack, and a surprisingly nice mix of dramatic and comedic writing and characters. This is easily the best and most well-written story out of all the mainline Devil May Cry games. I was fully emotionally invested, entertained, and wanted to see this journey through to the end. The single-player campaign offers a great amount of variety level to level. The boss battles are fun, challenging, very memorable. And there's a few very clever hidden collectibles and secrets here and there. I was very impressed. Real nice encouragement to explore and replay the levels. Honestly, I can't praise Devil May Cry 5 enough. I'd go as far to say it's a perfect video game. I very much enjoyed my time with this game, and I'm very happy to put it on my top 10 games of 2019. Number 4, Borderlands 3. Both an innovative and iterative sequel to one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time, Borderlands 3 is everything you expect from a Borderlands game and more. Borderlands 3 is Borderlands refined, with several quality-of-life changes, additions, and improvements. Everything gameplay-wise, from shooting to movement, feels more fluid, responsive, visceral. Where previous Borderlands games felt like decent shooters that were really lifted up and made special by their RPG character customization mechanics and features. Whereas Borderlands Free just feels like a great first-person shooter to play by itself. Period. But oh boy, those RPG character customization mechanics and features still do lift up the game into something truly special. The 4 playable characters, Flak the Beastmaster, Maz the Gunner, Amara the Siren, and Zane the Operative, are all so much fun to play and bring a unique gameplay experience to the table. Their special abilities, perks, and quirks allow for so much customization and variety, the build diversity. It makes Borderlands Free so replayable and so much goddamn fun. Borderlands Free is so much fun. This game is insane, and you can tell the developers were having a lot of fun developing it. From the non-stop crass, dark sense of humor, to the constant Easter eggs, references, fourth wall breaks. It's so silly and stupid and childish, and I adore it. I'm also really impressed with the graphics and visuals of this game. The way they've been able to polish the iconic Borderlands cel-shaded, cartoony, graphic novel-esque art style, making these environments, these character models, the special effects really look just so detailed and colorful and full of life. It's an impressive work of art. I also really have to give credit to how Borderlands Free was able to consistently make my jaw drop with these incredible environments that you just keep visiting throughout your initial campaign playthrough. I am also immensely impressed by the amount of content in this product. You are most certainly getting your money's worth. Not only is there the lengthy main story questline, but there's dozens upon dozens of side quests, end-game raids, challenge gauntlets, replayable horde modes. You can easily sink hundreds of hours into Borderlands Free. But what we all come to Borderlands for, the main feature we all crave, the guns, the bazillions upon bazillions of RNG procedurally generated guns. Admittedly, while there are some gun archetypes that I miss from Borderlands 2 and even Borderlands 1 that are not in Free, the arsenal you still have to play with in this game is superb, excellent, and possibly even more absurd than ever before. There are so many crazy, ridiculous, badass, freaking awesome guns to play with and kill shit with in Borderlands Free. From guns that shoot saw blades, burgers, and even more guns, there's a gun that shoots out even more guns. How is that not the coolest thing ever? The game is a blast to play single player, even more of a blast to play with a buddy in co-op. Borderlands Free is just an overall really solid package of a game, and I greatly enjoyed my time with it, and I look forward to playing it even more in the future. It's more Borderlands, and I love Borderlands, which is why I'm more than happy to say Borderlands Free is one of my favorite games of 2019. Number 3, Metro Exodus. Sequel to one of my favorite video games of 2013, Metro Exodus is one hell of an adventure, a journey, an odyssey. I never expected to get another Metro game, for us to get a complete trilogy of Metro games. I love the Metro games so much. Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, some of my favorite games of all time. I love the Metro games. And I gotta say, my god, Metro Exodus does not disappoint. This is an incredible video game experience. First off, the atmosphere. One thing the Metro games have always nailed is atmosphere. World building, getting you immersed and engaged in this post-apocalyptic Russia setting. Exodus not only succeeds in this regard, but does so with flying colors and on a whole other level. The premise of the game actually having you leaving Moscow for the first time and exploring other areas of Russia, taking you to beautiful tundras, deserts, forests, swamps, whole new biomes that we've never seen in a Metro game before. Alongside these brand new environments is also a brand new open world level design. And these new open world levels, they work! They just work. They work so well. They're so natural. They look and feel like real places that are begging to be explored and scavenged for resources. Post-apocalyptic Russia has never looked this beautiful before. Metro Exodus is yet another one of the best looking video games of all time. This game is so awe-inspiringly beautiful. From the gorgeous lighting to the shockingly detailed textures to the downright scary realism of the weather effects. This game is a treat for the eyes. This game is also a treat for the heart and soul because, my god, the story and characters. Oh, I'm already fully emotionally invested in main character Artyom's trials and tribulations after playing the first 2 games, but man, Exodus tugs on those emotional heartstrings harder than ever before. The writing and overall character development have seen major improvements here, and they were already pretty good in the last 2 games, especially Last Light. There's an extensive amount of dialogue and unique character moments. These are such well-rounded and fleshed out people. I couldn't help but care for everyone, be emotionally invested in everyone's plight. I was committed to getting the good ending for this game. And even still, all the heartstrings, all the emotions. I won't lie, I cried like a big baby through several parts of this game. Also, the husband and wife dynamic between Artyom and Anna. Oh my god, real life relationship goals right there. Finally, when it comes to the gameplay, Exodus has found a nice middle ground between the more smooth and fluid gunplay of Last Light and the more clunky and weighty gunplay of 2033. The result I feel being the best of both worlds when it comes to gameplay design. Guns feel impactful and powerful, stealth is as intense as ever, testing your timing, patience, and observational skills. The survival elements and mechanics have been bumped up significantly, with you now having to clean your guns to make sure they don't jam, being able to craft ammo and customize your weapons attachments on the fly anywhere, and scavenging every nook and cranny for every piece of scrap or ammunition you can get your hands on. Also, I was very happy to see that the horror aspects of Metro have not gone anywhere, with horrific mutants waiting to lunge at you from the shadows, a few intense boss battles and encounters against giant mutants, and many other very memorable experiences that I won't dare spoil to experience on the long, dark journey through Metro Exodus single-player story campaign. I love this game. I love Metro Exodus, and it is easily one of my favorite video games of 2019.
Did I lose you there for a moment?
Number 2. Control. So here's the deal. I'm a big fan of surreal science fiction horror and mystery. Fiction that challenges our perceptions of reality, the paranormal, the unknown, and Control fully embraces and explores these concepts. It's a love letter to them. And that was a wonderful treat to discover and experience while playing through this game, because I initially was only excited for Control. I only wanted to play Control. I only played Control initially because the gameplay looked fucking awesome. And guess what? The gameplay is fucking awesome. There is no other third-person shooter out on the market right now that plays like Control, that looks and feels like Control. It is a one-of-a-kind sci-fi third-person action shooter game. It is so awesome. It is so much fun to play. I fucking love it. The shooting, the gunplay itself is tight and responsive. But then you throw in the unique fast-paced movement and movement abilities alongside the other special offensive and defensive paranormal abilities that protagonist Jesse Faden acquires over the course of the game. And by the end game, once you have all your powers unlocked and upgraded, you feel like a god. You feel like a super-powered god. Flying through the air, shooting dudes, using telekinesis to lift up and throw any and every object in the environment. Oh, and the environmental physics and effects in this game, absolutely mind-blowing. It's so beautiful. I really can't emphasize enough how much combat, how much a combat encounter, a shootout, a gunfight in Control is such a visual spectacle. Well, the whole game in and of itself is a visual spectacle. The setting itself is so creative and intriguing. The entire game takes place in the oldest house, an interdimensional shape-shifting building. This is easily one of the most original and inspired locations in a video game ever, and has you progressing through the game much like a Metroidvania, slowly unlocking new locations to explore as you acquire more and more powers to help you traverse and bypass certain areas while solving the occasional puzzle. Exploration and discovery in this game is so rewarding. There's always a new beautiful and bizarre sight to behold, fascinating new lore to listen to or read, or powerful new upgrades and resources to collect. The game's progression and overall structure may be nothing new, but the story, the graphics, and the gameplay are truly one of a kind and extraordinary. Jesse Faden is a likable and even sometimes relatable protagonist and is really hot. I'm just saying. I couldn't put the game down once I started playing. I needed to see Jesse's journey through to its conclusion. I needed to see where this was all going. The world building in Control is phenomenal. This is a fictional video game universe that I want to learn more about, which is very much helped by the characters, the phenomenal voice acting and writing, the stunning artwork and craftsmanship when it comes to the graphics and the visuals. God, Control is such a mind-blowingly beautiful game, one of the most beautiful video games I have ever seen, ever played through. God, the lighting and physics in this game are so incredible! And again, one last time, I can't emphasize this enough. Control's combat gameplay is so much fun, it's so awesome, it looks so cool, feels so cool. In what other third-person shooter do you get a shape-shifting gun that can instantly transform from a shotgun to a rocket launcher, all while you levitate and use telekinesis to throw chairs at interdimensional monsters? Control is just so awesome. I love Control. Control is easily one of my favorite video games of 2019. Hell, it's my second favorite video game of 2019. And now it's time to reveal my number one absolute favorite video game of the year 2019. Finally, after all this time, here we go. Number 1, Remnant from the Ashes. I love this game so much. It has easily become one of my favorite video games of all time. Look, I'll admit, design-wise, Remnant doesn't have an original bone in its body, but it takes all these different good elements from all these different other games that I love, puts them in a blender, and creates something truly special and one of a kind. My very first playthrough of Remnant from the Ashes was in co-op with a friend, and it was fucking magical. A video game experience that I will forever cherish and never forget. The sense of discovery and exploration when playing Remnant for the first time is unparalleled. It's extraordinary. It's so exciting and awe-inspiring. Discovering new locations, meeting new enemies and bosses for the first time, collecting new armor and weapons, solving the many secret puzzles which are so well made, so tricky and clever and so rewarding. God damn it, I love this game so much. Just talking about it, just recording this audio right now makes me want to stop and just go play Remnant. I have replayed the campaign of this game so many times, single player and in co-op, it's ridiculous. Ugh, where to begin and end with this game? Okay, Remnant takes place in a sci-fi fantasy post-apocalypse. It's an RPG and a third-person shooter with melee combat. All of the open-world areas and dungeons you explore are procedurally generated, meaning no two playthroughs will ever be the same. Item and loot placement is randomized. Special enemy and boss encounters are randomized. Even unique character NPCs and story events are randomized. This equates to hours upon hours of replayability and new content to discover. Your very first campaign playthrough of Remnant is not the end, it's the beginning. And because Remnant borrows so many different elements and mechanics and features from so many other games, there's so many different things about it that appeal to so many different people. For folks who are all about deep backstory and lore and world building, Remnant has that in spades. For people who like roguelike games, Remnant's base game already has elements of that, but it also has an entire mode called Survival Mode dedicated to giving you a roguelike experience using Remnant's assets and gameplay formula. For the lads and lasses who love to play video games either single player or drop-in, drop-out co-op, Remnant is completely designed to fit both. It's a fun and challenging single-player experience, and an absolute blast to play with friends. I adore playing Remnant in co-op with friends. And just the designs of everything, from both a mechanical and aesthetic perspective, I love it. I love it all so much. It's all so well crafted and detailed. Level design, enemy design, weapon design. It all just looks and feels so good. So right. These are some of the coolest, most badass looking weapons and armor I have ever seen and played with in a video game. I love all the weapons. I love all the armor sets. Fighting and defeating enemies in Remnant just feels so good. Smooth animations, meticulous meticulous sound design, beautiful visuals. Every aspect and element of this game is bursting with color and creativity. It's a sci-fi fantasy treat for the eyes and mind. But what I absolutely love the most about Remnant, and why I want everyone to play this game and experience it, are the boss battles and the music. These are some of the best boss battles I have ever partaken in a video game. And this is some of the best, most awe-inspiring music I have ever heard in a video game, easily becoming one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. You see, when everything just clicks perfectly in place, the gameplay, the visuals, and the audio, it creates an experience that reminds me why I love video games and why I play video games. For moments like these, I love Remnant from the Ashes. It has become one of my favorite video games of all time, and it is my #1 favorite video game from the year 2019.